What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to today's show. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by White Glove Carpet Cleaning. Did you know that in the average home, up to 5 pounds of dirt can collect under carpeting every year? And viruses like the norovirus can survive in your carpet for up to a month. Dust, pollen, viruses, mold, and even pests such as dust mites thrive in uncleaned carpets and upholstery. White Glove Carpet Cleaning is a Davis County family-owned company that has been solving all of these issues for over 25 years. From homeowner to business person, White Glove provides professional steam cleaning to carpets, tile, upholstery, and vehicles with the utmost care, and is your 24/7 contact for flood and mold emergencies. Right now, White Glove is offering an incredible deal, which includes not just 3 bedrooms, but also a hallway for just $99. That's 4 areas for under $100. Be sure to text White Glove at 801-425-4618 to schedule an appointment and give your carpet the White Glove treatment it deserves. That's 801-425-4618. Bada bing, bada boom. What's up? What's up, everybody? I'm live right now on Instagram. I've got some of my diehard fans tuning in. Looks like we held on to Sea Dog, Aspen, Stratton Langston, and Ashley Naylor. So glad you guys are here. Hey, if you have any questions to ask me before we get started, then throw them in the chat and I'll get to them while I have you on live. I'm all by myself today. It's November 17th. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I just got done playing Call of Duty for the last 5 hours. 4 or 5, 6 hours. It's been a long time. I was supposed to work and clean some carpets today, but the guy called in sick. My only job today called in sick, so I woke up and I ate breakfast and I played a lot of Call of Duty. So shout out to the squad today. We took a lot of dubs and a lot of hard L's, but we had a good time. I think we had a good time. I already miss it. Yeah, I'm by myself today. I'm taking the pod in a new direction, but before I get started, I want to mention what I mentioned last week. Tomorrow is the big healing, growth, and community convention called Thrive Beyond Mormonism. It's the Open Stories Foundation convention that it's being held at the Salt Palace. I'm way more prepared today than I was last week. Last week, I just had a last-minute thought to talk about it, and now I actually pulled up the email first. So I've got it all sitting right here in front of me. I've got it's tomorrow, Sunday, November 17th. Oh, shit, today's the 16th. Oh, today's the 16th. Tomorrow's the 17th. Tomorrow's Sunday, and tomorrow's when the convention is. It's at the Salt Palace. I think it's only $15 to get in, and it's gonna be an all-day event. It's kind of like what was those when you in the church you go to these like the youth things or you're there all day. Wow, I can't remember what they're called. Someone help me out with what they're called. I feel like it's going to be kind of like that, except it's going to be non-Mormon stuff. With the schedule is there's going to be some songs and speakers, keynote speakers. Q&As. A lot of names. A lot of people are going to be there. It's a bit like the big post-Mormon, ex-Mormon community. So I don't know a lot of these names. I know John DeLynn and Natasha Helfer Parker from the Open Stories Foundation and Mormon Stories podcast. And those are the only names that I recognize. I'm really excited. It's like a 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. kind of a thing, and then from 8 to 10 in the evening there's karaoke and hanging out, and probably just hanging out drinking water. Everyone just drinks water nowadays, and it's good for you, so I'm glad we're drinking water. So that's tomorrow. I'm really excited to do that tomorrow. If you have questions about that, you can hit me up, and I'll let you know where I'm at, or if you wanna not go by yourself. So let me know. Today I want to take the podcast in a little bit in one of the directions that I've been meaning to. Oh shit! I got ink all over my. This is why I don't write. This is why you type everything in notes. You don't write things on paper anymore because you put your elbow on the table. You put your elbow on the table and then you get ink all over your arm. And I just fucking showered. I'm not going to let it bother me. I'm not going to let it get to me. Today I want to talk about my religious history, my where I am, where I'm at spiritually. What's up, Josh? What's up, soccer dude? What's up, Matt? Thanks for tuning in. If you've got any questions while I've got you live, then throw them in the comment section, and I'll see if I can get to them. Or I've got a lot of questions already to answer. I want to talk about more about where I'm at religiously and spiritually because as I've mentioned in previous episodes, I was a Mormon and now I'm not a Mormon. I don't identify as a Mormon, and I haven't had a lot of direct persecution, but I know it's not the easiest thing to do, to leave the church, what's up, Josh? Dude, I haven't seen you in a fat minute. It's not the easiest thing to leave the church or especially to be open about it in Utah when all of your family and friends are Mormon in your community. So I'm trying to create a community of support and understanding of people that are in the church now and don't want to be, or have left the church but have not been able to find a lifestyle outside of the church, or be comfortable outside of the church. So I know there's already a ton of communities like that already. What's up, Coop? What's up, Sid? Thanks for joining me on Instagram Live. I've got 8 people live with me right now, it looks like. Thanks for sticking it out with me. There's already a ton of communities that already exist, like the Open Stories Foundation, that don't attack religions, but they are their goals are the same. It's just like this conference that's tomorrow. It's what's the little description that they have about it? Maybe I don't have that pulled up. Fuck, I'm not as prepared as I thought I was. It's all about healing and growth and community and support. So, I'm not doing any jazz though. Like the Cooper says, I've got a nice smooth jazz voice, but I don't. Jazz people don't even really. I just hear a saxophone. Do I have a saxophone voice? I think I've got more like a tambourine, but that's not even jazz. It's just annoying. Anyway, I'm glad that if you don't think my voice is annoying, then I'm glad you listened to me. Thanks, Coop. I'm gonna accept your praises, and I'll give you a wave. Okay. Coke. Josh asks, what are my philosophical influences? I'm going to kind of talk about that later on. So I'm going to write it down and make sure I don't miss it. And make sure I'm going to make sure we don't miss it. Okay. And then I'm going to jump right into it. We got a couple more people tuning in. What's up, Mike? What's up, Leighton J15? What's good, bro? How's Hawaii, man? I miss you. I haven't seen you in a fat minute either. Okay, so I gotta write this down. I wish I had somebody to write all my stuff down for me. This is not gonna be fun to listen to. Thanks. Bear with 10 minutes. Back in Utah, dude. Why are you back in Utah? It's just starting to get cold. Well, come say hi. I'm in Ogden, Utah. Come say hi. Get in touch. All right. So, my I posted it yesterday. Questions, your personal deep questions. And I wanted to know what your personal spiritual questions of life are, and if you had any questions about me, what you want me to try to talk about or expand on. And here's the deal. I'm not a brilliant person or a doctor or a scientist or a scholar. I'm just a fucking 23-year-old that likes to think he thinks a lot. I like to think I'm like not an idiot. I think about most things, but I'm not like, my word isn't final, and I don't think anybody's word is really final as far as like philosophy anyway. So, or these kind of spiritual things. I don't. There's nothing definitive. I don't think there's anything definitive. So everything you're gonna hear is, one, it's gonna be my experience, and it's gonna be what I want out of life, out of my life, and hopefully I can share something that will improve the quality of your life, so that my experiences mean something, or my thought processes will influence you to think about things on your own time. I'm not trying to persuade anybody to believe or do anything. I just want to stimulate your brains, and I want to make them, tingly, kind of like an erection in your brain. Or what's like the equivalent of an erection for a girl? Just getting wet. I want everyone's brains to get wet, basically. So that's my goal. That's part of what I'm trying to accomplish. So I'm going to start by telling my story, my religious background, and we'll go from there. And I think I'm going to close this up. But Cassie, you just joined us. And you just missed me. So I'm going to repost this on my story so you can see this and get excited for this episode of Kaiden's podcast I'm going to post. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And it's over, and I had 19 viewers. Fuck yeah, I had 19 viewers. Fuck yeah. Posted. Now I go to airplane mode. All right. My story. Okay. So right now I'm 23 and I'm an ex-Mormon. I grew up in a religious household. I had mom and dad were married in the temple. Wow, the Salt Lake Temple? I don't remember. I think they were married in the Salt Lake Temple. Both my parents were born in the church. I'm a multi-generational Mormon kid. When I did my family, I looked into my family history a little bit, and my dad's parents, my dad's generation was baptized way long time ago, 6 or 7 generations ago. The Kellys are strong in the church, and the staples are the same. Let's see, my mom's goes back to, wow, I used to know like the names and when everybody was baptized, when the first converts were. My mom's family has a lot of interesting stories that I've read. They came from England in the 1800s, and there's a really, really fascinating story about one of my great grandpas coming to America without his parents. He was young. He was a young boy. Came over to America without his parents. When he got to the East Coast with the Saints, they were traveling. This was after Brigham Young had already traveled west, so probably mid 1800s. As George Staples got to the East Coast and got with a band of people heading west, and he got really sick while he was traveling west, and they thought this George was going to die. So George got left with some Indians so they would see to his death properly. But then George recovered, healed, and lived with these Indians for X amount of years, so many years. I don't remember, maybe 5, but enough time where everybody thought he was dead and kind of moved on from it. And after so many years, George's parents eventually had made it over to America and to Salt Lake City. But George's dad had gone back east to pick up more immigrants or more saints or something, and had reunited with George. And then George pieced out from the Indians and went back west. And then I think later he was gorged by a bull. I think he got fucking rammed by a bull, or maybe that was another Staples, but I know that happened too. Fucking, it must have been so wild to have grown up in that time when there was no medicine. You were left with Indians when you were going to die, and if you didn't die by disease, you got gorged by a fucking bull. Yeah, crazy. Or you went west with the Saints. So my family is rich in Mormon history. My parents, born and raised in the church, had 4 boys, me and 3 younger boys. And now at this point, my mom is still active. My dad is not active. My parents are divorced. And my brothers, if you haven't listened to their episodes, they've both left the church. The twin brothers that are younger than me. And then the youngest one, Cannon, lives with my mom. And I'm not sure what he considers himself, but I think he goes to church with my mom. I don't know how he feels. I guess I've never really asked. So and then I've left the church in my heart, but I haven't left. Like, I haven't got my name removed. And I think a lot of people do that. Well, I haven't done it because I've felt no initiative or no reason to do that. I think most people that don't want to be associated with the church because of bitter feelings or they were wronged somehow, or they feel like they were wronged, or they don't want to be associated with something that they think is evil, so they decide that they're going to remove themselves completely. I haven't done that. I haven't been bothered by the church since I've stopped going. I think my records are still somewhere in Logan when I moved to Utah State. So I think I'm off the grid, and nobody's tried to find me. So I don't know. I haven't proactively left, got my name removed. So maybe that'll change. I don't know. My whole my process started with my journey takes me from growing up with my parents, and I'll do my best just to explain my situation from my point of view, and I might say something wrong or be inaccurate in some ways, but I'm gonna do my best to be clear and speak from my point of view. So I remember being young, going to church, and having church influence my whole life up until my parents. Well, not up until, but then when my parents got divorced, the dynamic kind of changed, because it wasn't just my parents were taking me to church. I had to choose to go to church because I felt like I was now a role model for my brothers, and my mom was going to church and brought us to church, so I felt like, I supported her, and I believed in the church. I totally just believed in it, and I knew that I was supposed to be in church. So, and my parents got their divorce when I was 15 as a junior. So I had already had, I was a teacher or a deacon, and I was doing the sacrament or something. So I felt responsibility already. And then when my parents separated, I felt more obligation to go for me and for my family. So I went to church, and then I feel like I got really strong in high school. I held on to it more in high school. And I never doubted it or I never questioned it, and I stayed away from anti-Mormon literature and from ex-Mormon propaganda. One, not just because I was told to, but because I didn't want to be, I didn't want all this negative information shoved down my throat. So I stayed away from it, and I had no problem staying away from it. I wasn't really even tempted with anything anyway. Well, I could talk more about. Anyway, okay. So I was in high school, and all of my friends were Mormon. All of my neighbors that I was close with were in my ward, so I was just surrounded by Mormon all the time. And I didn't like fight it. The only non-Mormon influences I had were my dad and some of his siblings that have left. I had a couple non-Mormon friends, but we all behaved. None of us were like, we didn't have drink. I've never saw alcohol or weed or drugs or we didn't fucking swear. We didn't do, my Mormon friends and my non-Mormon friends, we all behaved the same way. I mean, the closest thing that I got to non-Mormon party behavior people were when I was in high school and I was on the golf team. But those kids were always way cooler than me, and I didn't feel like I was gonna ever blend with them, so I didn't really associate with them. So all of my friends, Mormon and non-Mormon, we were all basically the same, on the same wavelength. Yeah. So I never had I never had influences, or I never had reasons to leave or to question the church, because I just grew up Mormon, and so did everyone around me. I never questioned it. I just thought at some point everybody in the world is going to be Mormon. And yeah, I remember being on Twitter and Facebook and eventually Instagram and seeing everybody that wasn't Mormon and thinking, and I really was thinking like, well, there's going to be a point where they're going to be baptized. Everyone's just going to be baptized and be Mormon. So I got a head start, because that's kind of, you're kind of taught that as a in the church. You're a chosen generation, or the select few. You're like a special breed. So I just kind of accepted it. I went through high school and was preparing for a mission, and I had awesome friends and examples to help me get there, because I didn't not want to go on a mission, but I wasn't like stoked out of my mind. Getting to the MTC and seeing all the fucking 18-year-olds that are, and I suppose I was one of the first groups that went when they changed the age to 18 from 19. So I was like in a big pool of 18-year-olds that were, everyone had they just had their heads so far up their ass, and they were so stoked to be there, and I was never stoked to be there, but I knew I was supposed to go on a mission. Anyway, I got called to serve in Roseville, California, and I was stoked to go to California, and I just felt the obligation to do a mission, to learn how to be this ultimate spiritual guidance for people, and to bring as many people into the church as I could. I was young, and I really was an idiot and didn't think too much about what I was doing. I just did it. I had like I said, my family influence was huge. My friends' influence was huge, not because they were forcing me on a mission, but because I really just didn't feel like I had any other option. I had a couple of friends that didn't go on missions, but I felt bad for them because they weren't getting the same spiritual blessings that I was getting because I was going on a mission. So I felt like I was ahead of the curve, that I was not better than people that didn't go, but really I felt like I was better than them. I was being told that they're missing out, and that I'm doing the right thing, and I'm gonna be well ahead of these people. All right, so I go on my mission, and a couple people asked about my mission experience, so I want to make sure I focus enough time on this about my good experiences, my bad experiences, and how my mission, all of that shaped me to be who I am. So that was my attitude going into the mission. I was not thrilled out of my mind, but I was excited to go to California. I was bummed I wasn't learning Spanish. And I was stoked when I got to California to learn that it wasn't like LA. This Roseville, California is really far north, further north of San Francisco, which for when people say, oh, they're like, I lived in California, and they say, where did you live? And I say, Northern California. They say, oh, so the Bay Area. How is the Bay Area? Bitch, there's like 400 miles of California north of the Bay Area. There's Sacramento is like was the furthest south for my mission, but all the way up to the Oregon border, through Redding, Mount Shasta, and what's the Weed, all the way up there. I served in all of that area, and it was serious. It's like a 4 or 5 hour drive from Sacramento. It was awesome. So I got there, and my first area I was assigned to Weaverville, California. God, I should have pulled out my mission journal and looked through that first. I got all of my emotions. I wrote in my journal every single night, and if I haven't looked at it in a minute, but thinking about it, I think I just bitched for 2 years, for 730 days, about my companions and about the area, and about eventually getting fucking so fed up of being out there and wanting to go home. And then a lot of good things that happened too. So I got called to Weaverville, California. It's just woods. It's a wooded area, very far northeast of California. Not quite to the coast, not to Wairika, a little more inland, and it's right in like the Trinity Alps. I think that's what they call them, the Trinity Alps. It's just the Sierra Nevadas. A lot of mountains, and it was really hot in the summer, really, really, really cold in the winter, and I loved it. I was stoked. It was a lot like home in some ways. And I guess even more stoked it wasn't like LA or San Francisco, busy cities. And I had some tough companions, and yeah, I was stoked to learn about my environment in California. So I get to good experiences, man. I want to talk about my good experiences. So on my mission, I believed in the church. I had a testimony. I felt like I had a testimony. I had a belief in God. I understood this plan that the Mormon church puts out about this plan of salvation, where we came from, why we're on earth, and where we're going. I don't know any scriptures anymore, but I was very well versed out there. You just read your scriptures all day, every day, to everybody, by yourself, to your companion, with everybody. So I knew the plan. I knew like the scripture answers really well, and then I had my own belief, and I believed that God. Well, I believed there was a God. I didn't drink any. Why do I have these burps? I had tomato soup. I believed that there was a God. I believed that he lived in heaven. I believed he wanted us to come to heaven. And the way that we did it was by being baptized in Jesus' name by someone holding the priesthood, and all the Mormon answers. I believed in all of that. I was excited to teach it and to share that with people. My first baptism was a man named Bob Smith. And one of the best guys I know, or that I knew. He was an older gentleman, lived with his son and his wife, and his son was Mormon. Let's see if I remember this right. I don't think Bob was ever baptized, but his son Jason was, and I just don't remember if it was through his family or how Jason got into the church. Anyway, but Bob moved in with his family, with Jason, and invited the missionaries over, and we ended up teaching him and baptizing him. and helped him stop smoking, stop drinking coffee, and I remember feeling really rewarded about that. It was those were I did that several times. I baptized 12, maybe 12 people, and they were rewarding experiences. I felt like I was accomplishing what I was supposed to accomplish as a missionary. It was supposed to baptize and bring as many people into the fold, right? I worked really hard, and by working really hard, I mean I always woke up at least before 7, maybe not exactly at 6:30 every day. By the way, people that have not been on a mission, if you don't wake up at 6:30, then you then you lose the Holy Ghost for the rest of the day. That was my attitude. That's kind of how I understood it. Every missionary is given the missionary white Bible, the handbook, with basically everything you're supposed to do for 2 years. And every day you wake up at 6:30 and you eat breakfast, exercise, get ready for the day, and then right at 9 o'clock you start your personal studies, or maybe it was 8 o'clock. Right at 8 o'clock you start your personal studies. 9 o'clock you start your companionship study, because every missionary has a companion for the whole time, but the companion will change. And then 9 o'clock is companion studies, and then 10 o'clock you're out the door and you're proselytizing, and then you've planned appointments, and you plan on times to tract on random doors all day long, be productive, and you plan times of service, and no cell phones, no texting family, no movies. You don't go to movies. You wear your white shirt and slacks and tie every day. No video games. It was very minimalist lifestyle. And it was a tough adjustment, coming out of high school, but you kind of just deal with it. I never was like, oh, I don't want a cell phone, or I think some missionaries get to the point, or they at least are faking it, and they say, I'm going to go home and I'm just going to live exactly like this for the rest of my life. But I never felt that. I always missed TV. I always missed video games and talking to girls, and I missed all of it always, but I was happy. I learned to be happy not doing it. So I followed all of the rules. I was always up at a reasonable time, and I always studied really, really hard, really well. And that was actually probably my best experience. My best experiences probably came from studying as intensely as I did on my mission. I think that's how I learned how to comprehend information and process it, instead of being told answers or being told information. I learned how to take it in and to let it process in my brain and to make sense of it. So I loved reading the scriptures, because I finally, for the first time, understood what they were saying. I read the Book of Mormon maybe a dozen times. I read the New Testament close to a dozen times. I read the whole Old Testament one time and fucking checked out of the Old Testament after that. I read the Doctrine and Covenants, the Pearl of Great Price. I read all of the church literature, Jesus the Christ, all of the other little books. I don't remember them. I think I still have them though. I read all of them, and I took really, really thorough notes, and I recorded my impressions for everything I read, and that got me so excited, because I was finally taking in information and learning things for the first time for myself, and understanding things for myself. Probably was some of the best experiences I had were in those personal study hours. And I even had some companions that neither of us got along at all. So instead of doing the personal study for an hour and then companionship study for an hour, we agreed that we would do 2 hours of personal study and then go, which hurt our missionary work, because neither of us were prepared. But that was the only way we were surviving in our companionships. I learned so much from everybody, from all of my companions, but man, there were some rough ones in there. So, we get out. I was good about getting out the door by 10 o'clock and being on people's doorsteps or being in people's homes for lessons. In the morning, in the afternoon, I I probably spent too much time at lunch taking naps because you're so fucking tired all day. Oh, I was so tired all the time and take a lot of naps. So I was a good missionary. I did my best to do the best I could. I definitely wasn't perfect. I had a hard time. I felt so guilty. Okay, my mission was one where we were given iPads, and we were one of the beta missions for Facebook missionaries. So I had a Facebook, like an Elder Kaiden Kelly Facebook, and basically I was just on Facebook. We were supposed to proselytize on Facebook and use it as a form of communication with people in our mission and missionaries. Well, not even missionaries, just the people we were teaching. But everyone just used Facebook for Facebook and and followed all their family and friends. And I would talk to my family and some friends sometimes, and I would feel so guilty about it, but I would I would justify it because I felt like I was a good missionary anyway, and blah blah blah. So there were things like that, like little things I think I felt pretty guilty about, but it's dumb now that I feel guilty about them, I think, because there were missionaries that were stealing TVs from the churches, from church buildings, those wheelie cart TVs. They would take them out of the church to their apartments and then borrow Xboxes from members and play Xbox in their apartments all day. Or they'd just have their fucking parents buy them Xboxes and TVs and laptops and cell phones. I mean, in California, there were definitely missionaries doing all this, and I was envious because I was sacrificing all of those things to be missionary, but but I just never did. I didn't feel like I just felt guilty doing anything that I knew I wasn't supposed to do like that. Not because I'm better, but because that's just my personality. I was given the handbook. I was given the rules. I read that fucking handbook 100 times. I understood the rules and what I was and wasn't, what the church expected from me. And so I just, which has a lot to do with why I left. And I'll get into that. So my I met a lot of amazing Mormons, amazing non-Mormons, amazing missionaries. I had an amazing mission president. I had a really good experience, and I guess some of the only bad things were, I felt guilty for not being perfect at the rules. I felt really guilty for not baptizing as many people as I did. I had a buddy that served a mission in Honduras that was baptizing every fucking week. And he had sent pictures, or he would have like 2 or 3 baptisms in 1 week, and then the next week he'd have one or two, and he would be like, man, it was a slow week, it was a tough week, but and I just fucking, dude, chill. But he was also shitting in a hole in the ground and wiping his ass with a backpack and college ruled paper. So, well, I guess I got a give and take on that one. So I had companions that I struggled with, and I struggled with companions because of interest. I had some companions that wanted to break the rules. I wasn't willing to compromise on some of the rules. I did. I had sleepovers with some missionaries I knew I wasn't supposed to. I'd get up and I guess sometimes I'd go play tennis sometimes for too long in the mornings. Sometimes, go to bed, get in bed early. I don't know. I sound like a priss, but I feel like a priss anyway. I remember asking another missionary about card games, and he said, yeah, dude, we play cards every night, like at 8. Yeah, he was in France, and I was like, dude, I wish I had the nerve to play cards. I felt like God was going to fucking strike me down if I played cards on my mission. Oh, I don't know. Wow, now I'm getting anxious over this. I had all this energy. So, didn't have a lot of bad experiences. I had one guy pull a gun on me at a home. I was in Mount Shasta, California, and it's very rural there. a lot like Weaverville was. And it was in the wintertime, so a lot of the roads were closed, and we had a truck to get to all of our appointments. And there was, I can't remember if it was a referral. Oh no, we were going to a dinner appointment, and it was with a member family that we'd never been to their home before. They'd given us their address, and we plugged it into our iPads, and it took us deep into the forest, and we pulled into this driveway, which we thought was their house, and it was like a movie where I'm looking through the windshield into the front window that goes into the home, and in front of that window was a couch facing away from us. And when we pulled into the driveway, a man sitting on that couch stood up, turned around, and looked at us. And then a dog, like a fucking pit bull, jumps onto the couch. The man reaches down, picks up a shotgun, and I dropped that bitch into reverse and got the fuck out of there. That was the only time I felt scared for my life, probably, that I can remember. And we got the fuck out of there, and we missed that dinner appointment, but we did not give a fuck. We were so scared. Yeah, funny stories. I should have pulled out my journal. I should have looked through that before I did this. I have some funny stories, and I'll have a lot more good and a lot more bad. So, okay. So how did all of this shape me to be who I am, where I am today? I think my mission experience was overall good for me. I'm really grateful for the time I had to be so selfless and concerned with other people way before myself. I lived off $140 a month. $140, or maybe it was every other week. You get $140 stipend. I don't remember how that went. So max $280 a month. Well, which is ridiculous. But that, and then you work on that. Oh shit! I forgot one of the best things that I ever did was all of the service beyond all of the lessons I taught. And okay, all right, I guess this is kind of critical to where my mentality shifted. So on my mission, I was at the beginning, I was so dedicated about understanding the doctrine and the gospel, so I could explain it as the best that I could. And I did. I learned it really, really, really well, really intimately. And I was excited, and I think I was an excellent teacher. I became an excellent teacher, at least an excellent provider of information if I wasn't a great teacher. And the more I understood the doctrine, the more I wanted to just fucking make people understand me and baptize them, because obviously I have the information. So listen to me, and I will put you in the fucking water. That was that was kind of where I got to, maybe 6 or 8 or 12 months into my mission. And I realized I got to a point where I was upset with myself because I wasn't as understanding of other people. I was more just here. I have the truth. I have everything for salvation. So listen to me, and I'll give it to you, and I will get you into the kingdom of heaven. Oh, how arrogant for a 19-year-old. How arrogant for a 19-year-old. How arrogant for anybody to say, I have all the information to get you into the kingdom of heaven. So that was my attitude as a 19-year-old. And then I learned that I don't like to be like that. I don't like feeling like this. I'm way too arrogant and self-centered and cocky, and I have a lot of information, what I believe to be the truth, but I can't shove this down everybody's throats. So what I eventually did was I went through a transition on my approach and focused more on people and helping people. And I got so deep into service. And service is a huge thing for all missionaries and for the church, really. And I really, really, really found a passion for service. So about a year into my mission, where am I at? I think I was in Rockland, California, and I was leaving Rockland to go to Mount Shasta. Okay. Oh no, I went from Rockland to Lincoln, which is really the same area, right by Sacramento. Oh man, why am I tomato soup? So I'm in Lincoln, and we joined like a food pantry. Someone had introduced us to a food pantry system where we go once or twice a week to make meals to bring food for less fortunate people and distribute them. And then I went to Mount Shasta, which was way far north, right by the Oregon border, and then well, and it was a cool dynamic because Mount Shasta was isolated from any other missionaries for maybe another hour and a half. So we were completely by ourselves, and I found a food pantry in Mount Shasta. Found two food pantries in Mount Shasta, and we were there. I got there maybe mid to late summer 2015, and when I got there, there was a big fire in Weed, California. I think they called it the Bulls Fire, and it burnt down a lot of homes. And then as they put the fire out, I moved in. So I found these two awesome food pantries organizations. Got really involved with those, and then we met somebody who knew a family that was living in an RV because their home had burnt down, and they were rebuilding their home on their own. And I I got in touch with that family, and we ended up, for the 4.5 months that I was in Mount Shasta, I helped them build their house. Oh, I helped someone build their house after they lost a fire, and I probably only put up like a quarter of sheetrock on a wall. I mean, it was a really difficult thing, and because of all of the other things that we were involved with, it was tough to be there. But that was probably the one of the best, and I feel so good about it now because it was a 100% sincere, and it came from me. I wasn't told to go find this family. I wasn't told to be of support. I did it I did it because I knew I did it because I wanted to, and it brought a lot of help and happiness to this family. I ended up getting the whole ward involved for a couple of days to just get a lot of progress on their house. It was a really rewarding experience. I had a lot of good and similar experiences like that. So from that point on, I learned about myself. I love to be of service, and I like to make people feel good. I don't like to force this information. I don't want to be a missionary that forces this information down your throat, and I don't want to impose. If you want to learn more about what I'm doing, I will be glad to share it with you. But I'm not going to be the person to seek you out, which really isn't the best attitude for a missionary. If you're going to be a Mormon missionary, if you want to be a successful Mormon missionary and be the one that baptizes a lot, you're going to go knock on a lot of doors and get a lot of rejection and probably get hated from a lot of people. But you'll also find a lot of success that way. But I wasn't as happy doing that as I was by being pretty much a passive missionary. I was so happy to be of service, to represent my religion in a way where we don't impose ourselves. We are completely out of support and love. And then eventually that was I feel like that became my character. It was sincere for me. So I even remember towards the end of my mission sitting down with a man who had sought the missionaries out because he was dating somebody that was a Mormon, and he wanted to be baptized so that they could get married, and which is like a golden prospect. He had basically kept all of the commandments and lived the way a Mormon lives. He didn't drink, he didn't smoke, he was chaste, all of those things, and at least he said told us he was, and he wanted to be baptized because he wanted to be with this woman. And I remember sitting down with my brand new missionary who hasn't baptized anybody yet and was really excited to baptize somebody. And I remember talking this man out of getting baptized, basically, initially because of his eagerness, and because I was like, dude, you got to really know what you're getting yourself into. And he ended up getting baptized, in which I'm which is what he wanted. And I wasn't forcing him not to get baptized, but my process has changed. I didn't want to be I had knew all of the doctrine. I still believed in it at the end of my mission. And I wanted it to be a part of my life. As my mission came to an end, I wanted to go home and be a Mormon person. I just didn't want to be in everybody's faces. I just wanted to be a good person that believed in God and had this religion, had this piece of the religious pie that was delicious to me, and will share it with anybody who wants them. But I'm not going to take it door to door. So that's basically. Yeah, and I'm going to stop and think for a sec to make sure I'm telling the truth, because that's how I remember. I remember doing that with that gentleman, because I was like, yeah, and I felt good about it. And I came home. Now, when I came home, someone asked, what were your first signs of doubting the Mormon Church? So I never doubted the church on my mission, but I do remember meeting a lot of ex-Mormons who refused to be baptized but lived better lives than most Mormon people that I know, and thinking, I remember meeting these people and thinking, oh, they would be an excellent Mormon, but actually they're just an excellent person. They don't need. Well, I learned that you don't have to be a Mormon to be a good person. I sincerely believed to be a good or better person, you had to be a better Mormon. You had to be a Mormon, and you had to be really good at it. Living the Mormon life, the principles, all of those things. I genuinely believed that. So when somebody didn't want to be baptized or didn't want to hear the missionary discussions, I thought they're just keeping themselves from being a good person. But as I came out of that, I learned that good people are good because they are good, not because of an institution, not because of basically, I guess someone would say nature versus nurture. I think people are just, people are their own, everybody is their own person. Everyone is their own person, and they make their own decisions. A lot of people are influenced by religion, and they use it as a good stepping stone to be a good person and to do good things, which is why I don't think religion is inherently evil, but I know for a fact you don't have to be spiritual or religious to be a good person. So I learned that on my mission, and I took that home with me, and that's, I guess that's kind of like what I learned with the service thing. I learned I can be a really good person without shoving religion down people's throats. So so now here's a little more context for my story. My dad left the church. Well, I don't know when he officially left, but I noticed that he was not associated with the church anymore a little bit before his divorce. And the more that which again was when I was in high school, and the more that he left the church, in my head, the worse of a person he became, and the more down the rabbit hole he was going. So I felt bad for my dad because he was basically damning himself for leaving the church. And then that happened, and then I went on my mission. I came home, and I didn't have a great relationship with my dad before I left because of their divorce, and because I didn't want to be associated with an evil person, basically. But on my mission, I learned I should give my dad a chance, because if he isn't, so now that I'm a little bit more mature and am more independent from being on a mission, I should get to know my dad and his character. If he is an evil person, a dishonest, awful person, then I will see that in him as I get to know him. And if he's not, so basically, I guess I was giving him a fresh start for me. I came home from my mission. I moved in with my mom initially, and then I later moved in with my dad. I don't remember when. I don't know if I went to school to Logan first, and then I think I moved in with my mom in August of 2016. Went to Logan in January of 17, and then moved in with my dad in May of 17. And over time, I was just like hanging out with my dad and hanging out with my mom and getting to know my dad better, and then made the decision to move in with him. One, because we had gotten to a point where I trusted him. I was learning that he's actually not an evil person because he doesn't go to church. My mom was also in the process of moving, and I moved in with my dad. And I know some people may have thought that was a mistake because his influence, his non-Mormon influence, rubbed off on me and eventually made me who I am. But the truth is, I moved in with my dad and I went to church while I lived in his house. Maybe not for the longest time. Let's see. It was so May. I went to church all the way through the summertime, and then when I got back to Logan for that next fall semester. So people thought I was closet drinking with my dad, and I mean, you can if you've said this to me. I'm not. If you feel guilty for maybe making, if you said that to me, basically. But there were people that were telling me or wondering if I was closet drinking with my dad or closet partying or whatever. And the truth is, I lived with my dad for the 4 months that was, and I went to church, and I never tasted alcohol or smoked a cigarette or nothing. I was a Mormon with my dad because that's still what I wanted. I just knew that he was a good person and he was my dad, and I learned to not hold that against him. So back to my point. My first signs of doubts. I think as I think about it, the biggest thing that pulled me out of the church was me coming to learn that I don't have to be a Mormon to live a high quality of life, to be a happy person, a good person, one that helps other people and lifts other people up. I don't need to rely on religion or like leaders to do that. So I can do that on my own. So eventually that was probably the biggest eye opener out of the church for me. I gotta get some fucking water. Where's my... Oh, I'm getting fired up, baby. This is what I'm talking about. This is what this is all about. I had some ASMR for you. Just a minute 57 and 36 seconds. Probably some of the biggest things that took me out, my first signs of doubts were, I don't need religion to be a good person. I guess I just want to be truthful. The truth is, I was in the singles ward, and I fucking hated the singles ward. I stopped going to church because I didn't like the singles ward. That's the truth. That's just the truth. I couldn't stand it. The Kaysville singles ward was the worst. The Logan singles wards were the worst. I couldn't stand them. Just like the kids that were there, the attitudes, the activities. I didn't want to hang out with those kids. I didn't want to. I don't know. I'm definitely an asshole for feeling that way, but I was like, when I was living on my own, I was either going to church or sleeping in and watching TV. That's just the truth. I could go to church and be proactive with people that I don't want to associate with, or I can be home and be lazy and hang out with my friends and play video games and stuff. A really good question. Okay, so yeah, this has to do with a question that I was asked on Instagram. I want to make sure that I address it. So the question says, you mentioned in the demo you just felt better or happier when you didn't go to church. Is that all that happened? Was there something else, doctrinal or otherwise, that kept you from going back? Okay, so I initially stopped, yes, not because I didn't have any doctrinal issues. I stopped going to church because I just didn't want to go. That's the truth. And and I guess I could be a lazy piece of shit for just backing out because I didn't want to go. But I mean, who I who goes to church and is like, oh, I love sitting in pews for an hour instead of in my pajamas at home or in my bed. I mean, people like this spiritual edification. I get that. But who actually likes to get up and get ready for church or for work? Or work and exercise are different. It's really just fucking church. Getting out of the house, not and putting the spiritual edification aside. Just, I mean, would you rather, if you could have your church sermons in your fucking pajamas in your bed, would you rather do that? If you had the choice to go to a pew and sit in a pew and hear a bunch of fucking crying babies or annoying young adults, or would you rather sit in your bed and do it there? If it was the exact same experience and it was like met the same spiritual qualifications, you still got the sacrament, you still got to hear all the talks and shit in your bed, who would go to church? I guess that's what I'm asking. Who would still go to the church? Okay, and tell me if you would still go and tell me why. Because I didn't want to go there, not because I had doctrinal issues. I just didn't want to go. So is that I think that's fair. I think that really covers it. So I just liked not going to church. Which, okay, all right, now here's the missionary coming out of me. If you stop going to church, then you're going to stop feeling the Spirit, and then you're going to lose your testimony. Right? Is that true? That's still the attitude. I guess that's the attitude I had as a missionary. If you're not reading your scriptures every day, saying your prayers, going to church every week, going to all of the activities, then eventually your testimony is going to diminish. But I guess for me, my testimony didn't diminish immediately. I still believed, but now I'm a more open-minded person. Well, before I guess I say anything else, I know a lot of people who consider themselves active Mormons, but don't go to church, and I don't have a problem with them if they do that. But that's not my character. If I want to be like a super active Mormon, I'm going to do all of the Mormon things. That's why I was so fucking hell-bent over the missionary rules. If I was going to be a missionary, I was going to follow all the rules. So I did come to a point where after my mission, I thought, well, if I want to be a good Mormon, I got to keep going to church. I got to go because I got to take the sacrament and I got to be, the uncomfortable truth is I've always masturbated and I've always looked at porn, and I don't have a problem admitting it because I think some people do. And that's just I don't know any guys that don't masturbate. And anyway, I've always felt guilty about my sexual nature, about being sexually curious, and in that direction, I've always felt guilty because as a Mormon, you're taught to suppress all of those emotions, the feelings, those super strong sexual feelings, and save them for marriage, save them for your married partner, and then when you're married, you can explore all of. So I did always feel guilty about masturbating or looking at porn. Since I was a young boy, finding a porn magazine walking to elementary school in the gutter of my neighborhood, and picking it up, and it was the first time I had seen porn, and I remember being really excited, but also really scared of it, and I shoved it down the storm drain, and I thought nobody needs to see that. That's totally evil. But then I get a cell phone, and then my parents have a computer, and then I just was drawn to pornography, and everybody fucking masturbates. So, but I was like, if I'm gonna be a good Mormon, I gotta not do this. So I would go on long stretches without looking at porn or masturbating, and work on my spiritual side and try to be a good Mormon. And there'd be long stretches where I was just like didn't give a fuck. And then all before my mission, I didn't do it at all. I remember getting the iPad and seeing porn on Facebook and being like, and then thinking I'm definitely going to hell for looking at porn as a missionary. But that went away fast, or that never happened again. I mean, and then coming home and being and then I went like a year after my mission with no porn. Oh, and I guess I've never had sex either. Or no, I've never done anything sexual with anybody. So I've always suppressed all of my sexual intentions or desires. And then this time comes where I'm like, I still believe in the church, but I'm not going to church. Or I guess I believe in the doctrine, but I'm not going to church. And and then I was becoming more and more tempted to look at porn or masturbate, and thinking, fuck, I'm either got to give it all up and go back to church, or I've got to learn more about myself and see what else there is that this life has to offer. Truthfully, that's the truth. And I will admit that I got that attitude from my dad, because I observed him as a really good person, living a good life, doing good things, but drinking, and he has funny stories about his childhood and growing up and how he handled drugs. Well, not drugs, but alcohol and girls and things like this, and thinking there's just like, and then I have other friends that are having sex and that are drinking and that are smoking, and thinking I can either go that route, or I can just fucking put my nose down and get back into church. And I remember thinking I just got to be all in the church or all out. I'm not going to be some fucking half-ass Mormon that or like a closet drunk or closet partier, but goes to church, because I still have friends that do that too, and I still know people that do that too. So that's my personality, is I'm either all in or I'm all out. So I just like slowly decided I'm going to go the other direction. I didn't jump into ex-Mormon because I still believed in the doctrine. I still had never seen or heard anything anti-Mormon. I didn't believe in anything anti-Mormon that I can remember. I was still a believing Mormon, but I was going to transition the other way. So I guess maybe you could say I was half-assed, but I already wasn't going to church. I just wasn't partying. I guess I was like more neutral zone. I was a neutral zoner. And I feel, yeah, I think I can own I was a neutral zoner, but I was on my way out of the church. Still didn't have any really doubts in the doctrine. But I learned, I continued to learn. Then I eventually had my first drink, and I lost my virginity, and and then I embraced, my sexual nature with porn and with masturbating. Accepting it, like not going fucking crazy. Here's the deal. I grew up thinking if you look at porn or if you touch yourself at all, you are addicted and you're going to go to hell. So that was my attitude all the way up until college. And then I learned that people look at porn and people masturbate and people smoke and people drink and people have sex, and they like do it in a controlled way and it like in moderation, and they're not addicted, and they still have fucking jobs, and they still go to school and get good grades and have excellent relationships with everybody else around them. That's possible. I learned that that's possible. I don't have to feel like a piece of shit for wanting to masturbate because every time I ever touch myself at that, I'm a sex addict, I'm a porn addict, I'm an awful person. Then I've like the feelings of like I'm going to turn into some fucking Ted Bundy because I have looked at porn. That's like I'm an evil person. I'm going to do evil things, but that's just not true. It's just not true. That's not how my brain operates anyway. I live a very functional, happy life, but embracing all of the things that make me feel good. Basically, that's the bottom line. Yeah, crazy. That was I'm still looking at this first signs of doubts. So I guess this is more just about my lifestyle. Then I never questioned or fought the church on the doctrine, or I didn't question my spirituality for a long time after I was not even a long time. I haven't fucking dated this, and I didn't diary every time I every time I had a drink of alcohol, or the first time. I don't know. It's just my lifestyle slowly changed. I was embracing things that I once thought were evil because they made a person evil, but then learned that that those things don't make you evil. Now, if I wanted to argue on the other side, I would say that if drinking too much, if you drink too much, or if you look at porn too much, and it is damaging your relationship or in your work life, and it's bringing you down, or you crave it, and like you can't if you can't function from doing something, but it could be from anything. If you can't get enough fucking Diet Coke, then it's going to be a problem. It's not just those things. I think if they stop you from functioning as a human, then it's going to be an issue. But most people are normal. Nah, normal's not the right word. Most people can moderate it. Yeah, most people can moderate everything. So yeah, I just slowly embraced these things I once thought were evil, and felt good doing them, and have learned my balance, how I can function at work, I can function in school, I can have awesome relationships with my friends and my family, and have an excellent relationship with a partner, and who are accepting of who I am. Now, I had to learn how to be comfortable and confident in what I do, but I just have eventually learned that I like there are things that and then there's also things I don't like, but there's a lot of things that I do like that I can't do as a Mormon. So here's the doctrinal side. I hope I covered all of I think the lifestyle thing makes sense. If it doesn't, then let me know. Now the doctrinal thing is tricky because I actually really don't remember where my testimony went away. The best I can remember right now is let's see. Okay. Now it's coming back a little bit. So over the summer, or maybe it was when I was in Logan, when I went back to school, I read a book called Homo Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. I'll link it in the bio. It's by Yuval Noah I'm not going to try. I can't remember his last name. I'll link it in this episode. It's a scientific explanation of human history, and it's a fascinating read, and it's really extensive, but it explains basically how humans have got to the point where we are today. It was written 5 years ago, I think. 6, yeah, something like that. And I would just throw it in my headphones, and I'd go about my day, and I'd listen to this book, and I've now since listened to it 3 or 4 more times, because it's just fascinating to me. It explains how human behavior has evolved over. Okay, well, here's one. I guess here's probably one of the first doctrinal problems that I've come across that I can remember, and it stemmed from this book. If I remember right, the Book of Mormon, or maybe it's the Bible, says that human history, or humans, Adam and Eve, came about in 4,000 BC, 6,000 BC, something like that, and then everything then the timeline started from there. But science, in almost every regard, says that humans originated, Homo sapiens originated millions of years ago, and existed among other species of humans like Homo erectus, and which was another species of humans that existed for millions of years before Homo sapiens. So the book explains it way better than I would ever be able to. And I know I don't fully understand everything that was explained in the book, but I remember him explaining this human origin with the human species, the Homo sapiens, living among other species of humans, and then comparing that to the scriptures and the script. Like to me, science is science. And for the most part, it's proven science to me is unchallenged, unless well, I think that's what I want to say, but or how I feel. If something's proven, like what's a good example of something being proven that just can't be disproven? Like the sun emits like X amount of, or just it emits heat. Like that can't be disproven. That's just a fact. That's just what it is. Like to me, to me, the fact that humans originated millions of years ago is almost as factual as the sun that emits heat. Not because I'm a scientist or that I can prove that, but because of how other scientists, how it's commonly believed in the scientific community, and how it's explained to me. It makes sense. It makes from what I understand, it makes sense. And then the scriptures just say something completely different. And you know what? You know what? I could be just totally wrong about what scriptures say about the origin of man. I mean, I would love some correction too. But if I remember right, that's just like human existence originated from. It fucking happened. It was these two numbnuts were dropped into the Garden of Eden 6,000 years ago. Right? That's the origin of man, according to scripture. When everybody in the scientific community says otherwise. Okay, now that was the first real beef I had with doctrine, and I remember not accepting it initially because I believed otherwise. I believed in the scripture. Excuse me. There's something wrong with my esophagus right now. Well, there's something fucking wrong with everything inside my body because of this stupid colitis. I'm always uncomfortable. That was my first real doctrinal beef. And then I didn't accept it initially because I still believed in God. And then that was the first beef. Okay. I didn't accept it. I'm really thinking and trying to be accurate. So the book also explains kind of the origin of religion and spirituality among humans, how it's basically a social construct and as something that humans have created, one for power, for gain, and for unification. So, and I wish I had taken notes that I could just explain this to you the best that I can. I'm just going off of my beliefs and how I understand it. So religion originated because here's an example. Well, that's not even a good example. Fuck! I want to do this well. I don't feel like I'm doing this well enough. I hope that my points are coming across okay. I'm just going to keep going. So in the book, it explains how religion was created by man for a source of power, for organization and community, and then from there was manipulated in so many different ways, and has pulled people ever since in different directions because of different religions, different spiritualities, different beliefs, and different ways to understand how humans came about. And to me, what resonates with me is how humans created religion to fill a void of uneasiness or sorrow and stress and sadness and explain these things. So like if a family member dies, it feels good to say that I will see that family member again. They're happy, they're at peace, they're with God, they're in heaven. And then when I die, if I do the right, so that's like this attitude of, religion has answers for my big problems, my innate issues with existing. I feel confident saying that we invented those answers to just make ourselves feel better. They're all just most of the answers, our spiritual identity is created just to make us feel better about living and about dying, not because, well, okay, all right. In a nutshell, that's how I feel. I don't want this to be like me bashing beliefs or religions, but I'm being completely honest and I'm trying and expressing myself the best that I can. And I hope that everyone that's listening keeps an open mind as well. I keep an open mind as far as hearing other people and trying to make sense of their beliefs and their positions. I hope that people would do the same with me, especially if I sound like a fucking nut job right now because I'm not making any sense. So, okay. So first signs of doubts. Can I move on from that? Can I just move on from that? I think I eventually now at this point I've read a lot of what is considered anti-Mormon doctrine, and like the biggest one to me is the CES letter. For those of you who don't know what the CES letter is, it's a letter where I think it's a seminary teacher or an institute teacher had questions about doctrine that they were teaching, and sent this letter to the church with questions like, what's up with Joseph Smith translating the Book of Mormon through a hat? That's a hot topic. Translating the Book of Mormon, looking at a hat with rocks in the hat. That's a hot topic right now, I think. That and questions like actual questions about the Book of Mormon, the content inside the Book of Mormon and the Bible. And I think the church excommunicated this person because of this letter. But they were sincere questions, and they were questions that make sense to they're logical questions that need explanations. But they were, just anyway. Since my lifestyle has changed, I have accepted more information, and what sucks as I explain this is, I once was in a position where you stop going to church, if you stop reading the scriptures, if you stop believing in the teachings from the prophets, then you're going to fall away and you're going to lose your testimony and you're going to go to hell and you're going to lose all of the blessings. To me, that is just a ploy put on by religions and by these religious leaders to keep their members indoctrinated in just this sphere of information. It prohibits any kind of outsource and inquiry of anything that's not uniform doctrine. I was in that position once, and I understand if you want to just fucking be a Mormon, then just fucking be a Mormon, and you don't have to listen to me talk about this. You can turn this podcast off right now if you can't, if this is really unbearable, or if this really upsets you. I was in that position too at one point. Now I'm in a position where I am open-minded and will hear other opinions and can make my own decisions and make my own beliefs based off of what everybody else believes and what the other more information that I receive. But I'm like, I was in those shoes where I was like, if anything was going off the rails of that wasn't in the fucking LDS.org, then I was logging off. So to me now that's a fucking red flag. If you're not going to listen, if you can't listen to what somebody else has to say because you're afraid that it's going to pull you out of this mindset that you're in, that's fucking, it's brainwashing. It's just brainwashing, is it not? That's just what it is now. I mean, I can already feel people being really upset with me saying stuff like this, but this is where I'm at. This is who I am. If being open-minded isn't like accepting that other people have other beliefs, being open-minded is considering what those beliefs are and how they make you feel. So if you'd rather not, get these, if you'd rather not listen to me, okay, I get it. I really am not like that upset about it, I know that there's people, really important people in my life, relationships with family and friends that can't listen to this kind of content. But I just, if you're still listening, I just want to express that point. I think it's so important to consider all kinds of information. So now I think I take it well. I'm at a point where it's hard for me to accept any kind of information as truth, because there's so much to be learned. I'm not necessarily satisfied on any kind of form of belief. I think religion's a joke. I don't think any of it's real. I think it's all made up. I'm not going to say that people's experiences are fake, because I have my own experiences, and I've heard a lot of other people tell me about their experiences, and I will never deny that someone else has had supernatural experiences. But I always will call into question your integrity, and your reputation if you're gonna have these massive claims. So like if I'm talking about Joseph Smith, that he's got some fucking massive claims about God and heaven and our spiritual nature. Some people just accept it, and some people can't just accept it. And I think I've always just accepted it, and now I don't believe him. I don't believe Joseph Smith or any of his not any of his experiences, but I just don't believe in his initial intentions, and which obviously is going to be detrimental to your whole testimony. But I didn't get fed a bunch of anti-Mormon doctrine because and then left the church. I still study this shit, and I still study like pro-Mormon content, because because it's just information. Every time I read anything out of the Book of Mormon or the Bible, I remember my old feelings reading them, and now I just look at them. Well, I'm still not an intellectual, but I think I just process information differently. So I have different feelings about all of the content that I read now. And I don't just accept it because it's the scripture, and I don't just accept Joseph Smith because he said he had these experiences. It's, at the end of the day, I get to make my own calls and decide what I want to believe and what I deem as truth. I will try to always believe and stay true to my experiences, my unexplainable experiences, and I always try my best to trust or to believe the people I trust the most and their experiences. And truthfully, well, okay, this is a huge topic, what's the word I'm looking for? Something that bothers me or that I think about the most are everybody's spiritual experiences. I don't think there was one point where I believed everybody's spiritual experiences were made up in their heads to conform to their thoughts, but I don't think I'd believe that 100% anymore. I still think people tell themselves they feel something or they believe something or that they've experienced something to conform to their beliefs, so they have justification for their beliefs. But I don't think that's the case 100% of the time. I mean, I can't explain it very well. It's really tough without context too. But I think spiritual experiences or just experiences in general are tough, because I've had things I just will never be able to explain fully, and so have a lot of people. And the sucky part is there's a lot of bad people who fake these experiences for their own profit, for their own success, their own gain, and their own, and will lead astray a lot of good and honest people because of their ill intentions. I'm not saying that's Joseph Smith, but I think a lot of people do say that about Joseph Smith, and for a lot of other people too. Joseph Smith is just um, the first major character in my head because of my history. So, yeah, I don't want to. I mean, if you want to learn more about Joseph Smith outside of a Mormon context, I would be happy to point you to some references that are of some credible historians and intellectuals, and even have discussions with you. And I would also love to have discussions with Mormons who love Joseph Smith and who would call into question anything that I'm saying. I love to hear the other every perspective. But the problem is, don't you fucking come at me with some bullshit and call me to repentance. That's ridiculous. I won't talk to you. I won't talk to rude people. I won't talk to people that are trying to bring me down or call me to repentance. I don't fuck with that, and a lot of other people that don't fuck with that. So I'm willing to have a conversation and hear your perspective, and hear concerns or comments and questions. But I'm not gonna let somebody be rude to me or call me out for where I'm at. I'm a little bit more. I am definitely a lot more aggressive right now because I'm in a room all by myself and I'm fucking heated, baby. It's 85 degrees in this bitch and I'm heated. So because this is my content, this is my platform. I get to choose how to express myself. And some people really like to hear a person get fired up like me, like this. But I'm not going to come at you personally. I'm just fucking putting my shit on this platform for everybody to hear. So if you want to talk to me, of course I want to be respectful, and I feel like I'm a man of integrity, and I feel like I have amazing intentions for overall goodness and well-being for other people. So if you want to talk, if you want to talk to me, come talk to me. I would love to chat with you, and I just think I'm a good, I'm a pretty good person. I don't want to bring people down, but I will be more aggressive on this because this is my platform, and this is how I like to express myself. Okay. Yes! Let's get some fucking water. My head is killing me. Oh, we're an hour and a half. I'm like 4 points in on my bullet points. Okay. So that covers my first signs of doubts, my exit. Let's see, my exit. And why did I feel better not going to church? Yeah, that covers that. Did I feel anything else on my exit? Yeah, I think that covers all of that too for the most part. What's kept me out? Oh, yeah, I think I've covered that too. What's kept me out of the church is now I have real doctrinal. I have problems with Okay. I have problems with Mormon doctrine, and I have problems with religion, organized religion, and I have problems with overall the way that society, or at least our culture, sees spirituality. My problems with doctrine are, well, I don't want to sit and bash or shit on doctrine, but I have problems with the underlying doctrine of the Mormon Church. I have my problems with religion is just, I basically think it's made up to make humans feel better about living and about dying. And I have problems with spirituality because I just don't know. It's tough to understand what is okay. Well, and I guess in my head, religion is an organization that has been created by man, and spirituality are your personal experiences with what you would consider either a higher power or some external source that is unexplainable to you. Spirituality is different. Spirituality is different, and I have problems with relying on a lot like major religious people because of what they claim to be their spirituality. Okay, so I just have I have problems with those things, but I'm also really, really comfortable with where I'm at now, which I think is one of the points I'll get to. Yeah, that's a point. I'll get to that in a minute. So, oh, it's right here. What do I believe now? Do I believe in God? So, here's where I'm at now. I don't know if there is a higher power. I don't know. And I'm not afraid to say that I don't know. It doesn't scare me. It doesn't give me anxiety. I actually really like not knowing because it keeps my brain turning and it keeps my mind open. I feel like I can still accept a whole bunch of different opinions and beliefs because I haven't decided if there's a God, what that God is, and what that God is doing, or the higher power. God is just what we call our higher power because God is so intertwined in all of our religions. But I don't know if there's a higher power. Here's a good example. I've had experiences where I've felt things. I have felt something that is unexplainable. Felt things that I have considered to be the Holy Ghost or to be God intervention in my life. I felt those things and said, that's God or that's the Holy Ghost. But now I get those same feelings sometimes, but now I don't, instead of saying, oh, that's God, I feel like, I get those really peaceful feelings and I think that's me experiencing, that's my life. That's me living now. Or that's a reward for doing, that's like like someone could say it's karma or it's coincidence. I think, I don't know if there's a God. I don't know. I wrote down questions. I Googled questions of the soul because I think it's a big Mormon thing. And it was definitely a missionary thing. The questions like, where did I come from? What's my purpose on this earth? And where do I go when I die? And if I wanted to answer those questions directly, I would say, I don't know where I came from. I don't think I have a purpose in this life, and I don't know what happens when I die. I don't think there's any shame in admitting that or feeling that. I don't even think they need to be answered. I guess I'm excited that I don't know. And then here's the truth. If I'm going to be completely honest, I lean towards there is no God, and I lean towards there is no purpose, and I lean towards we disappear when we die. I lean towards those things because to me, we say there is a God and we say that there is a heaven because it makes us feel better, and because we have our own personal experiences and we say, oh, those are good experiences. There must be something else out there. Again, I don't know where the fuck those feelings come from, but I'm not going to say, oh, okay, if I felt this, so that means there's a God. And because now I think there's a God, I've got to find this religion that's going to teach me who God is, or I have to create a religion that's going to explain the overall picture of who God is. The search for religion. I just don't think it exists. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm not saying there is no God. I don't know. But I don't want to tell myself there is a God because of an unexplainable. If an angel actually came to me and said, I'm an angel, I'd say, oh shit, you're a fucking angel. And then I would know there's an angel. And then if a God came to me and said, or if a fucking angel cat came to me and said, hey, I'm a fucking angel cat and I am the creator of this universe, I'd say, oh shit, this cat fucking created us. No wonder there's a giant Sphinx shit thing of you in Egypt. I mean, I couldn't deny those things that happened to me, but I've never had anything that has explained spirituality to me. I've never had it. And then but there are people that, like Joseph Smith, that says, I've seen God. I've fucking seen God. And then you got to choose to believe him or not. And how difficult is that? How difficult is it to just choose to believe somebody based off of their merits? I mean, truthfully, if my mom or my dad or my brothers or one of my closest friends fucking text me, say, "Hey, what's up?" and I'm like, "Not much, man." I guess it's my friend now. "Not much, man. What's up with you?" And he's like, "Nothing, dude. Can I be real?" And I'm like, "Dude, hey, bro, you can always be real with me, man. Fuck, for sure." He say, "Dude, I just saw God." And then I'd be like, "Fuck, dude, what are you taking? Can I fucking have some?" And he'd say, "No, dude, I was just fucking watching TV, or I was playing COD, and then God just showed up." And then he said a lot of this. He said all these words to me, and dude, this really happened, man. And I don't know what. And I'm like, shit, dude, really? Yeah, that really. Yeah, wow. Then even then, it would still be weird, man. It's still I would choose to believe my friend, because if it was the person that I trusted, there are people that I trust with my whole life. And if that person came to me with these experiences, I would believe them. But I've never had a person that close to me come up to me and say, "I've had this experience, and so that's unexplained, that I can explain that there's a God." I've never had that person. And maybe that's what it would take for me to join a religion or to join an organization that supported this cause. Because I cannot get behind other people's experiences about somebody else. If my best friend's like, "Dude, fucking, I just read the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith's a prophet," I don't fucking buy that. Or if they fucking read, "Dude, I just read one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, and Dr. Seuss, man, he's got his shit figured out." I didn't fucking know Dr. Seuss. I think I need to know Dr. Seuss. I need to know Jesus if I want to believe, if I want to follow Jesus. I can't just fucking look at a Bible that has been translated so many times into so many different languages and just take every word for what it is. As a missionary, you read. I was like, one of the first things I was told to do when I got into the MTC was to cross out sections of the Bible, to just X them out because they weren't true. Some mostly in the Old Testament, but some in the New Testament. Fucking X them out. And then in the New Testament, it's like, okay, so fucking X this out. And then Joseph Smith retranslated this, and this is actually what it was supposed to say. Like, now to me, it's just horse shit. It's bizarre. It's bizarre to me. I need to know Jesus if I'm gonna fucking follow Jesus, I'm not just gonna sing the primary songs to know Jesus or to know God. I don't know if all of those sources are credible. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Hey, I have no idea. I have no clue if they're credible. And then you're like, "Oh, well, look at this experience that happened to Saul in the Bible. He didn't fucking know Jesus, and then he was actually destroying Jesus, but then Jesus showed up, and then Saul decided to fucking change his name real fast, and then he became Jesus' disciple." Did that story really even did it even happen? Did someone just make that up so that they could use it as an experience? I don't know. I've got no idea. I've got no fucking idea. I've got no idea. Here's the bottom line. I got no idea. All I know is I do what makes me happy. I do what makes me feel good. Making the people around me happy and comfortable makes me so happy. Having excellent relationships and doing what I can to make the people closest to me feel loved and important is way more important. It's way more important than giving 10% of my income to some fucking white-haired fucks. Huh? I feel way better just like living my life happily and comfortably and pushing myself in different ways. Oh, man, I'm fucking fired. Now it's a good 93 degrees in here. 93. My pits are sweaty. My pits are so sweaty. Ugh. I don't know, man. I don't know what I believe. But I know it makes me feel good. I love trying to be a good person. And I feel so bad when I feel like a bad person, when I've done something wrong or I feel like I've wronged somebody. I hate that feeling. So I don't want to be a person that wrongs people. I want to be a good person that uplifts people. And I don't need a religion to do that. Oh, man. So what is if this is okay, well I think that's the bullet points, and then I have some questions I want to answer, but if that paints the overall picture of where I'm at, I hope it does. I don't even remember what I said 10 minutes ago. We've been going for 1 hour 46 minutes and 25 seconds. And I feel content with what I've said and the direction I've taken it. I think I've got my point across. But I guess the thing that I struggle with the most right now is I want my closest friends to hear me out, my family to hear me out. Is that a fucking hairdryer? Sorry if you can hear the hairdryer. I don't know where it's coming from. I love my friends and my family so much, and I want to do what I can to do what I can to improve their lives. I don't want to pull anybody out of their religion. I don't want to change people's beliefs. I don't want to be like some fucking. I don't want to be a prophet of anti-religion. I want people in their religions to know everything that's being said about them. I guess that's one thing for me that was really difficult to understand was as a Mormon, you're told your little circle of information, and not your circle, but your sphere of information. And okay, I'm going to say that differently for the last time. As a Mormon, you're given your sphere of information, and anything outside of that is untouchable, and you should never engage with it or learn about it. And now that I'm out, I'm upset that that's the attitude, because, well, it's cultish behavior to shun any kind of outside perspective. I don't want to pull anybody out of their religion. I just want them to understand what they're in, what they're doing, what they're engaged with. It's like fucking going to McDonald's and knowing what you're eating. Yeah, I don't want to. You don't want to go to McDonald's. Well, okay, I guess some people want to go and just fucking indulge and don't give a shit what's in their food. But I mean, those people, are dumb. Most people want to know what they're eating. Most people want to know what's going on in their lives. Why things are happening the way they are. Some people are blind fucks and go into religion and go into restaurants, and it's the same thing. It's just the same thing. So I guess if you want to be, I can't stop you if you want to go into religion and be blind. I can't stop you if that's the case, because at this point you've turned off my podcast. Undoubtedly. No doubt you've turned off my podcast by now. and there's nothing I can do about that. But for the people that I just, yeah, okay, that's I've already said it. I care and I love the people, and I want them to know what they're engaged with, whether if they're in Mormonism, if they're eating at McDonald's, if they're fucking trying to someone said last time about building a computer. I mean, like, you got to fucking know how to build a computer and what not to put in a computer, right? I don't know. That's a stupid fucking analogy. I'm going to answer some of these questions. That I was asked. How is it having a Mormon family and an ex-Mormon family? Okay, so like having probably how was it separating both of those? That's an excellent question. It's been really difficult to balance. It was difficult to balance initially because I wasn't great question. Right now it's fine. And I give credit to the fact that I am open with who I am, and my mom is open with who she is, and my dad is open with who he is. So I would assume it would be okay. In my transition out of the church, it was definitely difficult for my mom because I was never really forthright with where I was going. She just thought, I think she just thought I was in the church, going to church. And I wasn't. I was not. I had stopped going to church. I'd stopped wearing my garments. And I remember she noticed one day I was not wearing my garments, and I said something about, like, just not. I just wanted to work without my garments. I was going to work to detail cars because it was hot outside, and she got really upset over it. So, but then over time, as she came to terms with who I was, and because she loves me as her son, then that was more important than going to church. I guess I'm speaking for her, but I would assume that me being open about where I'm at, but still considering my relationships more important, I was able to leave or get into a different lifestyle in a comfortable way and still maintain healthy relationships. So I think the most critical thing is openness, transparency, and honesty, and effective communication and comprehension. I love that. Like, everyone's like, communication is very important, but comprehension is just as important as communication, because I can say all the shit that I need to say, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't understand what I'm saying, right? So so comprehension and communication are very important. And then it's also translated to all of my relationships with my friends, I think. So I have lost some friends, mostly friends that, like, I kind of barely associated with anyway. But I've made new friends, but I've made better connections with new friends because of my transparency. Instead of, well, yeah. So it's not bad. I think it would be difficult to balance my parents or my relationships with my parents if one was intolerant of the other and the other lifestyle. Like, if my dad was like, "Hey, I love you, son, but I can't engage with you if you're going to be a Mormon." I know that happens, and I think, and it's a tragic thing on both spectrums. If a Mormon family is like, "Hey, I love you, son, but I can't interact with you if you're not going to be a Mormon." That's kind of, I want to. Somehow I want to abolish that attitude. I just want to get rid of that attitude. It sucks that a religion has created this kind of perspective for people. And religions and cults, they say if you should only associate with people that are doing what you are. You should. Okay, Mormons aren't that crazy, but I listened to a 14-hour interview on Mormon Stories with John DeLynn and an ex-Scientologist, and Scientologists are fucking whack jobs. They're fucking whack jobs, and they go well beyond the appropriate levels of, like, tolerance. They are completely intolerant and will shun family members for being, quote, suppressive people. They just shun them. Family members. I mean, if you haven't seen the Leah Remedies Scientology documentary, I think it's called Aftermath. Not the Eminem album. It's she interviews ex-Scientologists and their experiences leaving the Church of Scientology. And Mormons, I know that the Mormon Church isn't like that, but people get that attitude in the church, and because of the church and because of the attitude. So it sucks. I don't have that. I'm fortunate that I don't have family shunning me on either ends. My dad didn't shun me when I went on a mission. He was very supportive of me on my mission. And my mom has been extremely supportive of me after I've transitioned out of the church, after my faith crisis. I've been very fortunate. Next question. What's my take on the three kingdoms? I don't know if they're there. Don't know if they exist. I think a lot of if I don't want to talk about it for too long, but I think that if you don't know what I'm talking about, in the Mormon Church, there are 3 levels of heaven, and God is only in the highest level. And to get to the highest level, you have to do X, Y, and Z. And then everybody else goes to the other ones if you don't meet all the requirements, right? And I think it's just a strategy. It's just a ploy for Mormons to be better Mormons. So, like incentive to work hard and or incentive to be a good person. It's incentive to pay your tithing and to go to the temple and get married in the temple and to be straight if you're fucking gay. It's all tactical strategy for the Mormons to keep their members to do members. And someone asked, do I believe in eternal families? What's my perspective on eternal families? Yeah, I don't know if they exist. Oh, that's too fun for me. I would love what I've said before and what I stand by now is I would love to extend my relationships with the people that I love most beyond this life. Whatever that means. I don't fucking care about heaven. I don't fucking care about paradise. I just want to extend the quality of my relationships with the people that I love the most. That's what I want. I don't know if that is going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's what I want. I would love to see my parents, see my brothers, see all of my friends in the next existence, and to continue making new relationships and working on current relationships. I find a lot of satisfaction in that now. That's because that's my experience now. That's all I know. So eternal families, don't know if they exist. Multiple lives. Do people have multiple lives or are there spirits? Again, I don't know if they exist. I've like, what do I think about them? I don't know. I don't think I care. Like reincarnation. Or being born again as somebody else, or like in a different universe. Maybe whoever asked that, maybe be more specific about multiple lives or spirits. I don't know where to go with that. If there was a God, how could we... I loved this question. If there was a God, how could we reliably learn anything about them? That's a really good question. I think I kind of answered that earlier with some of the things I've already said. If there was a God, if maybe it's just my own fallible personality, I need to have direct interaction with this person, I gotta have direct interaction with God or with the people that I trust the most. They have to have this, because if somebody knocked on my door and said, "Hey, this man from the 1800s saw God," I'm probably not gonna fucking believe you. I don't think most people do. So how could we reliably learn anything about them? That's an awesome fucking question. I just think personally I have to interact with the deity or the apparatus, or have somebody that I trust the most interact with them. And then if nobody's given that, then I'm just gonna learn what I can trust at this point. I will learn that other people have had these experiences, and some people say they've seen God, and I will accept that those people say that, but I can't just believe. I'm not going to follow you. Now I'm not going to give you 10%. I keep going back to tithing because it's the easiest thing to correlate to a religion, but I'm not going to fucking give you 10% of my income because someone said they saw God. Don't know if you saw God. And then Coke asked an awesome question earlier about who are my philosophical influencers. I really don't have any. I wish I was more in tune or educated with other philosophers, but I really am not. I think I am a pretty open-minded, deep thinker alone, and I think most of my thoughts come from my friends and my family that I interact with directly, and then I process their information, and then maybe something I learned from the internet. I really just don't learn. I haven't learned a ton of other. I don't like follow philosophy. I just kind of fucking make up my own philosophy. That could be very arrogant. I just think that I just haven't. I don't know. I just haven't. So. Yeah, those are all the questions. Those are all the questions that I was asked. Well, all the ones that I wrote down anyway. Now, but I did write this down. I took a note to wrap up my thoughts with. If you haven't heard of Kurzgesagt, I think is how you say it. It's some German YouTube animation education. Kurzgesagt. They make science videos, a lot of biology videos, how the human body works, and they have fun with like explosions and stuff. But they have awesome visuals, and they made a video about human existence. They actually made a 10-minute video that breaks down the book that I explained earlier in the podcast about. They just explained the book and human origin and kind of how human society came to be how it is now. So, but the one that I wrote down is called Optimistic Nihilism, and it's their perspective. It's their pretty much perspective on life and why humans live, and it has a lot to do with, or it correlates a lot with what I've said and with a lot of how I feel, but in a lot more appropriate tone. And it's said way better, way simpler, and it's fun to watch. So I will link this video in the I think all of it's going to be, when I say link, I'm going to try putting everything on YouTube and link it on YouTube so you can find everything there. But this optimistic nihilism. Well, if you don't know what nihilism is, I'm going to Google it really fast. Nihilism is the rejection of all religious and moral principles in the belief that life is meaningless. I fuck with that energy. I fuck with that. Because I can't prove that it is not meaningless. I can't prove that it is, that has any purpose. I feel better about saying life is meaningless and going from there. That's ground zero. That's the base of it all. Life is meaningless, and then going from there. So their optimistic nihilism is saying, yeah, life is meaningless, but because it's meaningless, we get to create our own purpose. We get to do what makes us happy, and we get to make ourselves feel good and make everybody else feel good. It's I guess the definition right below it in philosophy says extreme skepticism, maintaining that nothing in the world has a real existence. Too philosophical for me right now. Yeah, I've had this talk with some of my friends before about nihilism, and they're like, well, why would people want to? I mean, what if killing people makes somebody feel good? Well, the whole idea is that there are no morals, there are no principles to life. Everything is meaningless. But that doesn't mean that murdering people makes people feel good. I still want to do what makes me feel good, and that to me is making other people happy. Murdering people might be what makes somebody else happy. But we have created a society now where we fucking suppress that behavior very fast. And I'm talking about this without any context, so take it with a grain of salt. It's the video is very, very well put together, and it is very optimistic. And I think it brings a lot of, it makes me hopeful that I can still live a happy life without feeling like I have a purpose. I don't feel like I need to have a purpose to be happy. We create our own purpose, so we don't feel empty. So we don't feel like we just create our own purpose because humans feel better feeling like there's something, that we're doing something for a reason, when in fact we just fucking exist. We just are just existing. And don't fucking ask me why humans just exist, because I'm not a fucking scientist. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just talking. I'm just explaining it. How I feel. I don't know about the fucking Big Bang. I don't know about evolution and how humans eventually evolved over millions of years into become who we are today. I don't fucking know, but to me that makes more sense than some mysterious entity placing two humans on Earth 4,000 years ago and then fucking producing the world that we're in now. That's just in a roundabout, that's just very loosely said. But I'm gonna wrap this up now. We're 2 hours, 5 minutes in, and 59 seconds. This has been really fun. This is a lot more fun for me than the first one that I did with Cook's Burps. But I did enjoy this. I enjoy talking about all of this. And I get really heated and fired up because I'm a very passionate person. I don't think I'm an idiot, but I'm definitely not the smartest. So I love to hear your where you stand, what you you don't need to tell me what you believe, but if you want to have a conversation with me, then let me know. But don't fucking attack me and make me feel bad about what I believe. I'm not doing that to you. I'm just putting everything out on a platform. I'm just putting it on the internet. And if you don't like it, then just turn it off. Don't fucking attack me because of it. All right. Hopefully you give White Glove a call. I'm going to plug my fucking company into this. Give White Glove a call for the holidays. They're doing a 4-area special for $99. Give them a call at 801-425-4618. And thanks so much for tuning into Kate's podcast. I have so much fun doing this. And again, you can always reach me on all my socials. Be sure to give me a follow, a subscribe, leave reviews. Only if they're good. Just kidding. You can always let me know what you think. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.